Third City Clerk, former City Commissioner, City of Daytona Beach. The Truth, with Gwen Azama-Edwards on Goliath Radio.
Yes, sir. I'll let you know if you had a negative impact. Stan, you've been sitting much too long, much too long. Welcome, 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 welcome to Truth, a radio program designed with you in mind, a program whose sole purpose is to empower you, our listeners, for information leads to knowledge, and knowledge is power. And as always, I want to empower you to take control of your life, those things that impact you, your family, and your community, as always too. Once you go to the website at www.gwen-truth.com so you can access all of those powerful links. Links to municipalities, county agencies, state agencies, federal agencies, and advocacy groups. Links to what will make you all powerful, because you will then have the connection to all of the knowledge and information you need to take control. And that's so important. We want to empower you. As has been stated, I'm Gwen Azama-Edwards, former City Commissioner, retired City Clerk, City of Daytona Beach, and President and CEO of AE Enterprises, Inc., a consulting firm on politics and ethics. I want to do a couple of shout-outs to start off the program. A shout-out, of course, to Don Asher and the Asher family and the loss of our former mayor, Baron H. Asher. And, you know, I got to tell you, for all of these years, Bud never said what the H stood for. Never ever told anybody, of course. And then throughout his memorial service, you see Henry, Henry, Henry. Never ever. Always, it was always, you know, Baron H. Asher. Baron H. and then in parentheses, Bud Asher. So shout out to his family, and many thanks to Bud, who did it his way. I put that on Facebook, that I tell you, in everything that he did, Bud did it his way. And he always knew exactly how he wanted to do something, even though he would ask certain people, you know, what do you think the impact will be? How will people take it, depending upon the various groups? But in the end, he always did it his way, and he always did what he thought would best serve the community. You know, you didn't have to agree with him. You didn't always agree with him, but he always had a plan. And most of the time, that plan worked and came to fruition. So shout out to Don, lovely Don, love you, Don. Just an awesome, awesome person as well in her own right. So shout out to them. And shout out to my friend that's Bishop Sam Butts. They have their 2013, I am drawing a blank, Sam. I'm sure you will, convocation, holy convocation. Praise God. That's because I was there so late last night, Sam. You know what I mean? Praise God. Mother Willie Butts delivered the message, an awesome, awesome message. I have put up on Facebook the song that she sung leading into that, and we'll probably put a part of her message up on Facebook as well. And I know if you go to their website that you can find it, and that's Butts Miracle Temple and Cordial Church of God in Christ. So we do shout out to him for the great program that this is the third year that they've had the Holy Convocation, and they just had 2 dynamite nights. It started on Tuesday. This is the last night. So, you know, if you wanted to rush over there and take part in the last night of it, please do so. They have a 7 p.m. service tonight, and that ends the 2013 Holy Convocation. So shout out to them for all that they're doing to bring positiveness to Daytona Beach and the area, and to, of course, remind us of just how great God is. Okay? Want to do a shout out as well to all of those who are grieving and in mourning. And I know some of you maybe many of you, I know my husband has been watching the Trayvon Martin court action trial that has been going on. I watch as little of it as possible because being a mother is heartbreaking for me to watch any of it, quite frankly. And to watch court action, you know, if it's real TV, not is it only is it just a turn off. It's just ooh, makes you. It's heartbreaking to watch how victims become almost like perpetrators in court. So, but we will keep the city of Sanford in prayer. We will keep the both sets of parents in prayer. We will keep all of those involved in the court action in prayer. All right? Okay. Now, as we move forward, just to share and to set the stage for our speaker tonight, Bev Johnson. And Bev is the Vice President for the YMCA on Health Strategy. And as I said about some prior presenters and guests that I had on the program, I was at the Health Summit, which the Volusia County Health Department puts on. And they do this and have been doing it, I believe, for at least 3 years. I think I've gone at least that many times. And it's always phenomenal. And those of you who really want to go to an event that actually talks about current health issues, solutions, not just the problems, but solutions in regard to that as well. That would be a great thing to put on your next year's agenda. And they send flyers out that let you know, so just keep your eyes and ears open for that. And that's like the beginning of the year. But Bev Johnson was a presenter during that health summit, and while she was talking and sharing about a positive program that you guys have going, and we don't just want to talk about that because we've got a full hour, but you were talking about such a positive program that was not only positive, but it was successful in terms of helping to deal with a major health issue and problem that people have around this county, around the state, around the nation, and I would suspect even the world. And of course that's diabetes. But before we get into that, Bev, because you're here as a representative of the YMCA, which used to stand for Young Men's Christian Association, right?
Yes.
Is it still?
It is still, yes, it absolutely is. There's lots of women within the YMCA today, but it still stands for the Young Men's Christian Association, absolutely.
Wonderful. Now, would you share, because I know Ms. Rogers, Teresa Rogers, who is the head of
yes.
the Y for these counties and others as well? Or?
For our association, which spans Volusia and Flagler counties.
Okay.
She's the CEO.
Okay, wonderful. And she's an awesome person as well. But we got a lot of awesome women, guys. A lot of awesome people, period. But if you could share with individuals, because the Y of yesterday is not the same Y of today. There's probably some carryover in terms of maybe some missions and the mission and the goals, but in terms of what you can expect and what goes on at the Y, it really is a little bit different from what we're used to. Now I can tell you at my sons, when they were younger, that's where they learned to swim. Okay, and that's where they went. They played basketball and a few other sports. So the Y has been instrumental in terms of, I think, not only helping to build our youth physically, but they've been instrumental also in helping to train and prepare their minds. Now I don't know if that's totally still the case because, like I said, my youngest now is 37, so it's been a few years, but they learned really a lot, I think, about being responsible. Absolutely. Through the Y. Good. And they learn a lot about team spirit and team efforts and the like, and I think those kinds of ideals are very important. Those kinds of values are important in their young life, but also in their future life as well. And so has it changed much over the years? And ask you to speak directly into the mic.
Sure. Well, you know, it's funny because the YMCA has been around for over 160 years.
Wow.
And while many things have changed, many things have stayed exactly the same.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the really, I think, unique and neat experiences that the Y provides. We still have the same mission as we've always had. We were founded and based upon Christian principles, caring, honesty, respect, responsibility. Those are still our driving forces within the communities. And we value what you said. We value trying to help children become part of something bigger, something part of their community, if you will. Use that teamwork example and helping children develop into caring, responsible adults is one of the things that the Y has always prided itself on, and that we still try to do even in today's ever-changing world. So, in that respect, the Y is the same old Y, if you will. And many, many people have learned to swim at the YMCA. We are the largest provider of childcare. We still hold that title. We did develop basketball at the Y, so you touched on a lot of our history. Some of the changes that are really exciting is the Y is actually nationally and locally we are as well, becoming a community health hub, if you will. We are in many kind of arenas, I guess, a convener of people. We're neutral territory, if you will, between a healthcare system and a community system. And one of our primary goals over the past 3 years, and as we move into the future, is to help provide access for a healthier lifestyle, to help make the healthy choice the easy choice for residents within all of the communities that the YMCAs around the country serve. So the change has come as we are partnering very much with the medical community, if you will, to focus a lot more on health and prevention than the Y ever did intentionally before.
Oh, wonderful.
So yeah, it's an exciting time with the Y.
And as we think about the fact that obesity is really now considered a health issue.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they've actually elevated it, so it's not just a choice, even though it's still a choice involved, but it's not just something that just happens and nobody really considers it as a serious matter. It has been elevated to an actual health issue, and as a result, people are not only given more opportunities to try to deal with that issue, and giving more opportunities to have healthy choices.
Right.
I think in terms of their lifestyles as well, which is key and important for us, not only in our counties, but also in this country and in the world. Obesity is something that has really kind of taken over the lives of so many Americans. It's like people start with an addiction, and it seems like something that like eating, and you're just eating and enjoying life, and before you know it, you're eating, and it's like you can't control it anymore. Have you found that that in terms of your new initiatives that this is an addiction and it is something where people actually do need help?
It's different for everybody, but you touch on some very interesting points and absolutely some facts. Obesity, as you mentioned, has become a lifestyle-related disease, and one that is at the root of many of our what we consider our chronic diseases: cardiovascular disease, heart disease, diabetes, things like that. So obesity is not just a risk factor anymore, as you mentioned. And people suffer from obesity for many different reasons. Some of it is certainly genetic. Some of it is lifestyle choices. Some of it is that the access to healthier or low-fat foods is not there. But as you mentioned, we all have choices to make, but support is necessary.
Right.
One of the things about eating is, if there's a clinical problem or a problem with alcohol, for example, you can abstain from that, and it may not be an easy process to go through, but you can't abstain from food. You have to still eat. So it's something you have to actually manage, as opposed to just not partake in. So it can be very challenging. We also know that we are, as Americans, and probably other places in the world, we are very driven to eat by emotions. And so, and particularly in the South, when something bad happens, neighbors show up with really good, yummy, sweet, bad for you foods, So You know, we're a country that's driven by a desire to fulfill our emotions through food, and so that's hard too. So obesity is probably our #1 issue, if you will, in my opinion right now. Something so preventable, but something so complex.
Absolutely, and what I find, because I am trying to force myself to do a lot more exercise, to eat healthier and everything else, but I find that especially for women, now men have a system that will burn hot fat. Their metabolism is a little different from the women, so they have an easier time. But what I find is that for women, because we're the ones who generally are preparing the meals, it's difficult to cook and not eat.
Snack.
And you know, so we're preparing meals for husbands, we're preparing meals for children and the like, and or for our parents and all. And as a result, you know, it's really hard to have that kind of constitution to just say, okay, I'm fixing it, but I don't have to eat any. And I've tried that with my husband, who loves to eat. Larry, you know you love to eat. So, you know, fixing him something, and then he doesn't necessarily like to eat healthy either now, but it's just healthy, you know. But every so often he likes to fry this and to fry that, which isn't good for him either. How do you, in the new program that you've got going for diabetes and pre-diabetics and the like, how do you find, #1, people who will come and get involved in that and share, please, that it has been very successful, the programs you all have run, and some of the things that you hit upon when you're doing that, because I find, even with my desire, strong desire, and I even bring a spiritual element into it, and I will share with our listeners that my mother-in-law has actually written a spiritual diet, so to speak, menus and the like, to share with people that, especially if you're a child of God, you know, this is the temple, you have to take care of your temple, and there's scriptures to go with that to help reinforce it. So she does have a book that's out about that now. But what I found is that as strong a believer as you may be, and as much as you pray and everything else, you know, it's like anything else. There are temptations all the time. And you know, one thing I found that really hurts any diet, watching TV and watching the commercials that come on.
Absolutely.
About food.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you know, it's interesting you mentioned that, because some of our children's networks are targeting that in the years to come.
Good.
The Disney Channel, for example, has made a stance against the commercials for the high sugar foods and whatnot. They won't remove them for a few years, but they've said that, you know, we know that there's an uptake of eating junk food, if you will, after commercials.
Right.
And so they work. They absolutely work. But yeah,
they're doing their job.
They're triggers, exactly. We need healthy fruit on those commercials, so people get excited about that. But back to the programs that you mentioned and the program that the Y is starting. The one program that we're most excited about, I think, right now is something called the YMCA's Diabetes Prevention Program. And it is an evidence-based program that came out of years of research with the Center for Disease Control and the National Institute of Health. And basically, what came out of that through the clinical trials, which was, the research was all done in a medical community, we found that lifestyle-related choices could significantly reduce your risk for converting to diabetes if you were at risk for diabetes, more so than taking the medication that diabetics take. So, in fact, in the middle of the study, they had to discontinue a portion of the study because it wasn't ethical any longer to give people the medication, because lifestyle-related change made so much more of a significant impact. So that's huge information.
Yes, it is.
The challenge was we couldn't figure out how to do it in the medical setting at an affordable rate that was accessible to people. And that's where the YMCA came into play. Through a subsequent study, the YMCA partnered with the medical community to figure out if we could offer this program in the community to community members, facilitated by like-minded people, so not necessarily healthcare professionals, to make it more affordable. And we were able to do that, and that's what became the YMCA's Diabetes Prevention Program. Now, the interesting thing about the program, it's a year-long program, but we meet once a week for 16 weeks. And during those 16 weeks, which we call the core portion of the program, we're really working on lifestyle change.
Mm-hmm.
So we're working on a heart-healthy, low-fat diet, and we're working on increasing physical activity to at least 150 minutes per week. One of the things that we hear all the time is, well, when are you going to teach me to count carbs? And what we say to people is, you're not diabetic, so we're not going to teach you how to be a diabetic.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to teach you how to live a heart-healthy life, reduce your weight by at least 7% of your body weight, and increase your physical activity. And those two things alone will significantly delay the onset or the risk for diabetes. So we sit with our groups, and they're facilitated groups, so it's not a prescription. I'm not going to say you can't eat this, you can't eat that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to help you make wise choices so the big picture you can live with. And we work on that for 16 weeks. At the end of the 16 weeks, most of our participants have met their goals of at least 7% weight loss and 150 minutes per week of activity. But they have to stick with it.
Mm-hmm.
So we meet once a month for the next 8 months, because we know two things. If we know nothing else, we know people that make lifestyle changes need support,
Mm-hmm.
and we know that they need accountability. So we meet once a month for those next 8 months, so that if people kind of start to sway a little bit, which we do, it's human nature, we kind of go back to our old ways, then there's that accountability piece and that support piece to get us back on track before we get too far. So it's a full year program, because a lifestyle change can't happen overnight.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And it's been remarkable, the support systems that have been developed and the progress that we've seen, and most importantly, the health impact that we've seen has been just a beautiful thing to be a part of. It's been really neat. So.
You know, I find it really interesting, and I do this on myself as much as I'm sure others do who may try to lose weight or maintain a certain level of weight. We really, it's like we expect to change our weight situation, our eating habits overnight, when it's taken us years
Right.
to get to that point many times, or at least more than a year.
Right.
And so the fact that this is a year-long program really speaks to the fact that you're talking lifestyle changes, you're talking about changing habits. And I tell you, in terms of eating, one of the most difficult times during the day is at night. Those unhealthy snacks, or you know, your body's telling you, oh, I crave something, give me something, feed me, feed me, feed me. And you know, you're saying, oh, what can I have? I've had some nights where I said, okay, I ate that. You still not? Okay, I'll eat this. Oh gosh, you still not? You know, trying to feed whatever that is, it's kind of annoying them. You know, oh, I'm hungry. I'm upset, etc. And it's really changing. And I've said this to my mother-in-law. It's really dieting or weight control or proper eating. It really starts in the mind.
Absolutely.
And the time that you really change is when you make up in your heart that it's important to you, that you really got to do it. And it's that type of a situation that people really and truly have to, you know, just decide, as with any addict or anyone with a problem, decide that this is a problem I need to deal with.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And sometimes you don't have the support around you.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So you got to be able to generate it from within, and like you're saying, have that support group too that will say to you, hey, you're doing a good job. Oh yeah, that's what you want to do. Keep at it, keep at it, keep at it.
Right. And you know, sometimes our families and our good friends have good intentions, but the support's not there as much as it could be. We tend to sabotage people sometimes.
Absolutely.
And maybe not necessarily on purpose. You know, if you've had a bad day, I'm going to give you a piece of cake. Or instead of saying, okay, let's go for a walk and talk about it.
Right,
you know,
right.
So we try to be comforting, and you're right when you say it's a mind frame. It's a mindset, and you know, getting in your mind that if you've had that rough day, you know, not going home and sitting in the chair and eating whatever comfort food is there for you, but getting out and clearing your mind and going for a walk. Or we live in a beautiful area. Walk down and look at the ocean and enjoy, you know, God's nature and what's been provided for us. That's what we should be thinking and doing, but it's oftentimes the last thing we think to do.
And if you can't do that, learn some type of meditation.
Exactly. Exactly.
My goal is to one day, I have a friend who teaches yoga, to actually learn more in terms of yoga, but sometimes the people who sabotage you are the ones who want to keep you overweight, because they may also be overweight.
Right, right.
You're their good buddy who loves to go and eat all of this dessert, et cetera, you know.
Exactly.
So, the good thing, better thing would be if you were to encourage them
Right.
to then come in and learn of this new lifestyle that's really going to help them.
Right.
Because the truth is that all of these things will help you live longer.
Absolutely.
And also live a better life.
A better quality.
Yes, absolutely. And if that's important to you, for you, then it should also be important to you for family members and friends as well.
Absolutely.
What are some common things that you all have found that pre-diabetics and even diabetics that they love to eat, like fried food, that's really not good for them? And you know, I think one of the things that they haven't learned is that there are ways you can prepare food, meat that tastes like fried, but it's not fried.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. You can bake a lot of things. You know, I can remember, and you probably remember this as well, I can remember my mother baking chicken with cornflakes because it was a substitute for fried chicken. And it was baked in the oven, and it was a low-fat alternative to fried chicken, and I remember that from 35 years ago. I mean, that, you know, so we've known about these things, we just haven't necessarily logged on to them. And there's so many options out today. There's so many great magazines that can teach you how to eat low-fat, healthier, or even do recipe swaps. There's apps on your phone and shopping lists that can help you do recipe swaps from some of the really good, bad-for-you restaurant food and make them healthier. And I think it's really a matter of just trying those things. If you try them, you'll realize that the taste is really still there. And it wasn't that difficult to make. I know how to fry chicken. It's easy. I've done it my whole life. It's just, again, taking that step and trying something new. It's change, which is hard. You know, it's difficult. But I think there's so many resources out there today. Even in the grocery line, I mean, there's a million food magazines that teach you how to do it differently.
Right.
And I think it's just a matter of educating ourselves and trying those new things. I found online on Pinterest, I found a million recipes that I just keep posting on my page so that I go back to them one day, because friends are sharing. It's almost a, you know, we've got networks going out there now. So if we just link into that stuff, lots at our fingertips. Yeah.
Absolutely. I agree with you. In fact, there is a coating that's very healthy that you can actually put on fried chicken that when you bake it, after you bake it, it tastes like, and it's crunchy and everything, tastes just like fried chicken. My husband, who loves fried chicken, has even said, "Oh, this is so good. You didn't fry it?"
That's great.
Yeah, and when are you going to fix that again?
That's how you know
that's how you know it's really good, when your husband says, "When are you going to fix that again? I love that."
Right, that's great.
For people who want to sign up for, let's say, this program, is there an age limit? Is there, you say there are men and women, it's
Yes.
open to men and women.
Yes.
Do you have a certain target number that once you reach that number, then people would have to go on a waiting list or something?
No, it's an interesting
And where
program.
is it offered?
Sure. It's an interesting program because it's not like any other that we've offered before. First and foremost, it's not necessarily offered at our YMCA facilities. We can hold these classes any place at any time. Because it's group facilitated, we really just need a room like a conference room or a classroom. And we try to start classes with about 10 to 15 people, because those group dynamics are what really make it work. So if we can find 10 to 15 people in a geographic location that is similar at a time that's good, then we'll start a class. So for example, we recently held a class on, I think it was Wednesday evenings at 6 o'clock in a conference room at the Volusia County Health Department. And it just happened to work. It was central for people that were in Port Orange and Ormond. We had some people from Flagler County. That location worked. We also had one at one of the local hospitals. So we don't have to hold the classes in the YMCA. So the nice part about that is, you know, many of the people that qualify for our program aren't comfortable going into a YMCA facility yet. And they may never be. We have an exercise component, but we don't exercise in class. So they can walk in their own neighborhoods, you know. So we want to make it convenient for individuals, we want to make it, remove the barriers. So if the Y is an intimidating place, well then we're not going to have it at the Y. So one of our, I guess, colleagues, if you will, across the country in Michigan, they're offering this program, and a gentleman that owns a car dealership qualified for the program, and he said, you know, I've got a conference room here, let's hold it here. So we always joke and say that's probably the most creative place we've ever held. But the program can be offered anywhere. And times vary. Basically, we look for groups that are good. You know, is it a daytime group or an evening group, a Saturday group? And once we have enough people, we'll start a group. So they're ongoing. So there won't ever be a wait list in terms of the program is full and you can't get in, but there may be a wait list because we need 4 or 5 more people that have similar needs in terms of time and location. But we have those going constantly. So the logistics are interesting, but we start these lists, and then as soon as we have about 10 people, we'll start the program. The other thing is, who qualifies for the program? That was a great question. It's not for people that already have been diagnosed with diabetes or that are living with diabetes. It's not to say that the principals couldn't help, but the research was on people that did not yet have diabetes, but that were at significant risk. So the program is for people that are either documented pre-diabetes with a blood test or that have significant risk factors, which includes BMI, which is body mass index, which basically means your height and your weight are a little out of whack. You want to be a little taller for your weight, or you want to weigh a little less for your height. So BMI we look at, and then we look at risk factors right now based on the research, such as high blood pressure, sedentary lifestyle, obesity goes along with BMI, family history, high cholesterol, things like that. If a woman has had gestational diabetes or an extraordinarily large child at birth, then they may qualify. So there are some qualifiers for the program, but once we get past that point, the program is open to anybody 18 and older. Now again, that's not to say that kids can't get type 2 diabetes. They absolutely can. And we acknowledge that that's a very big problem in this country. This study, though, was only on adults. So we're in the process of actually, they're running some pilot programs right now for a similar program for juveniles, so under 18, which hopefully we'll be able to be a part of as well. But right now it's 18 and older, and either documented pre-diabetes through a blood test, which your physician can give you, or risk factors, significant risk factors. And the way you can find out, we have actually a little test, if you will, on our website. So at vfymca.org, you can go to the pre-diabetes section and fill out a quick little questionnaire and find out whether or not you're at risk for diabetes, whether or not you would qualify for the program.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
Now, male or female, as long as they're over 18, there are employers now who really want to have a healthy program for their employees. They want to help them to develop healthy lifestyles, because we know that a healthy employee is a productive employee. Right. And they also save you in terms of your health care and everything else. Is this program open to employers?
Absolutely. One of the really exciting things about this program, this is the YMCA's first opportunity, if you will, to be involved in something called third-party reimbursement, which is when insurance covers the program. So some insurance companies cover the program right now, and more are coming online. 25 of our YMCAs are in a study with Medicare right now to determine whether or not Medicare will cover the program. If indeed Medicare decides to cover the program, that will continue to open the doors for other insurance companies. Right now, though, what we've seen within our corporations is that many places are now doing their metrics or biometrics testing to include A1C testing, which is a blood test for diabetes, or the risks for diabetes. And that's something we've seen happen really in the past couple of years. Now what's happening when the companies identify a significant number of people that have elevated A1Cs but not yet in the diabetes range, well then that's a perfect opportunity to bring the program on site for the employees.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. The research tells us that 1 in 3 people right now has pre-diabetes, but many of them have no idea. So the testing that's done at these employer sites for kind of annual benefit fairs is really eye-opening for many people, and we attend many of the benefits fairs to give information for people that are diagnosed with pre-diabetes to be able to say, you know, you have options. It's a wake-up call. When you have pre-diabetes, there's time for you to take charge. And as you mentioned before, sometimes it takes a scare tactic
Yes.
or something really impactful to make people move and move on a positive lifestyle change. So pre-diabetes is that wake-up call. Once somebody crosses into diabetes, they have diabetes and they can live a healthy life, but they have to manage their diabetes. They don't become non-diabetic. They can manage it and live a healthy, long life. It can be difficult, but it's possible. But if you have pre-diabetes, you don't ever have to cross over. You can manage it and take control at that point, and that's just kind of like your, it's almost like your fire alarm. You know, it's that, now's your chance, do something.
Right.
So partnering with corporations and partnering with businesses has been a huge benefit, I think, for our community, because so many people are finding out that they may be at risk but had no idea.
That's something that I've heard as I listen to different health programs that come on and the like, that the pre-diabetes is there are a lot of them there, number one. Diabetics is one of the fastest growing illnesses as well. And the other thing is that for the most part it's because people are now just starting to, more and more of them are starting to get tested, or they're starting to recognize the signs for it as well. Are there some key signs that people should, you know, as they're thinking about, oh gosh, I may be in the pre-diabetic stage and, you know, maybe I should do something?
Right. You know, I think it's really being honest with yourself, to be honest. The biggest thing people need to be aware of is if somebody in your family has diabetes, you are at greater risk than somebody whose family doesn't. Now, I gave you the statistic that 1 in 3 people have are pre-diabetic right now, or have pre-diabetes right now. By 2050, 2050, if we don't do anything about this, 1 in 3 people will have diabetes. So if we just look at the general math, so many people will have diabetes that our family histories are tanking in terms of diabetes. So our risk factor is multiplying. So the first one being, if somebody in your family has diabetes or had diabetes, then we really need to wake up and be aware. The other issue is weight. If we carry more weight than we should, or if our BMI is higher, or we are overweight or borderline obese, or obese by clinical terms, then we are probably at risk for diabetes. So I think it's really being honest with ourselves and saying, okay, I do have high blood pressure, I do have high cholesterol, I do carry extra weight, I'm not exercising the way I should be. My grandfather, I think, had diabetes. I probably need to talk to my physician. And you know, those are the risk factors. And I think every one of us could look around and be honest and say, I really do fall into that category, or I'm okay here, but I probably need to keep an eye on it, you know. And sometimes our family history for it is just so strong that you can certainly eat right, and you can certainly try to manage your weight and exercise and whatnot, and still get it. So you just have to be aware. And I think it's early testing, and it's talking about it with your healthcare provider, and getting information and being proactive. You know, I loved your talk at the beginning, your introduction about taking charge. We are in charge of our health.
Oh yes,
and
absolutely.
So, you know, we are empowered, and if we're not, then we need to be empowered to ask those questions and ask for those blood tests and say, you know, I have a family history. If I test negative, fantastic, but I want you to test me again next year. You know, so I think it's really being honest and empowering ourselves to make sure we're taking care of ourselves.
And I think, you know, as you were talking about those that who may not have the family history, or those who have the family history, and but they test negative. The bottom line is that even participating in this activity will allow them to learn what is important and necessary to ensure that they not cross that line, number one. And I think number two, with having looked over the program of what's involved in that, the worst that can happen is that you learn how to eat properly, exercise, and all that good stuff, the good stuff that really creates a much better quality lifestyle for you. And I would say to parents, and I constantly say this, that when they do this, what they're becoming is a great role model for their children.
Absolutely.
It's always sad to see a parent who is overweight who has overweight children, but it's also sad to see a parent that's not overweight who has overweight children, because they don't seem to understand that what they're doing is actually allowing that child to come into the position of actually being either diabetic, pre-diabetic, or have other health issues,
Right.
which is what comes from overweight.
Right.
And you know, and this is not a put down, because I know of some ladies and gentlemen who are solid. I mean,
Absolutely.
they're not, you know, there are some who would look at them and say, oh, they're overweight, but actually for their body mass, et cetera, they actually are not. They're good and solid. But what people need to understand is that, you know, this is a lifestyle thing, and lifestyle means that it's 24/7, that you're really in there taking care of yourself, and as such, helping also to take care of your family. I know we're probably preaching to the, as they say, the choir, but the bottom line, and I think there are some people who are just so turned off, they're so tired of hearing people talk about obesity. But you know, if you want to live a long and healthy life, you know, it's one thing to live and not be healthy and not be able to control the different things that go on in your body, and it's another thing to live to be over 100. I read in the paper, I think it was today or yesterday, about the gentleman who just turned 100 and the big party and the dancing and all that they did. I have a neighbor who is in his 90s, and he dances and drives himself and everything else, and you know, he has some health issues, but for the most part, he truly enjoys life.
Yeah.
And that's important, that you enjoy your life, and it's hard to do that if you're not healthy, right?
Right.
I need to now have a station identification, and you're listening to Truth with Gwen Azama-Edwards. My guest is Bev Johnson, who is the Vice President with the YMCA and she's Vice President of Health Strategy, and this is the YMCA for Volusia and Flagler counties. And this is WLE, Big Radio, Goliath Radio, and they're located in Ormond Beach, Florida. And it's WLE 1380 AM on your radio dial. So we're happy to have all of you listening. And for those of you who are listening who, you know, may think, well, you know, I'm in great shape. I don't really need this, or I don't need that. We hear every so often about individuals that are in such great shape, they're jogging all the time, and the next thing we know, they're jogging and they drop dead. You know, my husband, that happened to someone he knew, and he said, see, I told you I don't need to exercise to kill you. Oh God, any excuse, right? But the truth is, we do need to eat properly. We do need to exercise. We do need to do those things that are going to give us a great quality of life. And that's what I appreciate about the YMCA. And when we had the YWCA, which is no longer around, but that's what I appreciate, that there are so many opportunities for individuals, young and old, to participate in programs that will keep their minds active, that will keep their bodies in good physical condition, that will really help them developmentally, whether it's an infant who's learning to swim, you know, for the first time, or some of the other activities that go on. And it's awesome, I think, the programs that you offer. I noticed that, you know, the Y will be doing some things at the Midtown Development Center, and well, Educational and Development Center. And you know, at some point, maybe you will do that at some other, provide that at some other centers as well. What are some other types of programs that people may not actually associate with the Y that you provide?
Sure. Well, we, as you mentioned, I have to put a plug in for the Midtown Center because it's a new partnership with the City of Daytona, and we're very excited to be there. One of the things that I think we get stuck on with the Y is that the Y has to be inside the four walls of the Y. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, you can only build so many buildings and you can only have so many facilities. So the idea is to partner more and get out into the community where access is easier and better. If somebody doesn't have access to transportation, you know, our 5 or 6 Ys in the county may not be convenient for them. So finding places where we can take programs into the community and improve access and give everybody that opportunity for something healthy is kind of the direction we're heading, if you will. So hopefully people will start to look for more opportunities like that with us. Some of the things that we've got going on right now, and one of them being at the Midtown Center, we are running a program there called Balance in Motion, which is a fall prevention program, and again, it's evidence-based. A fall prevention program for people that are aging, so we basically say 62 and older, but you don't have to be 62 and you don't have to be 88, you can be 52. The Balance in Motion class is basically a fall prevention workshop class, if you will. So it's for a set amount of weeks. And then once people graduate from that program, we have another class called Moving for Better Balance, which is more of a Tai Chi based class. So it's not just about balance and furthering what you've learned in balance and in motion. It now becomes about centering yourself and that spiritual and mental side of wellness.
Oh, wonderful.
So we're doing some things like that out in the community. We also have, and I'm focusing a little bit on older adults or adults right now, but we've got a program called Dance for PD, which is specifically targeted towards individuals that have neuromuscular disorders like Parkinson's disease. And we have Dance for PD at 4 of our Ys around the county. And it's a ballroom dance-based class for individuals and their caregivers that have Parkinson's disease. And it's phenomenal. It's absolutely amazing and wonderful. And then we've got some classes in the pool for people that have multiple sclerosis. We have our general swimming classes and our water aerobics classes and swim lessons for tots and master's swim programs. Some of the other exciting things, we've got some healthy weight programs. We kind of tried to follow suit with the Surgeon General for the state of Florida. He made a statement when he took office to say, you know, I'm tired of talking about this obesity issue and how bad we are. I want to have a healthy weight. I want Florida to be the state with the healthiest weight. So we decided that was a much more positive way of looking at things. So we started a healthy weight program. And then for people that are already active, the Y has things for them too. We've got triathlon training programs, and we've got boot camps and circuit training classes, and things that can challenge people that are already active as well. So you were right when you said we run the gamut. We're doing some kids fitness. All of our after-school programs, we use an evidence-based program called SPARK, which is sports, play, and active recreation for kids. So our children in all of our after-school programs and all of our summer camp programs get at least 30 minutes of physical activity through SPARK every day. They generally get a lot more than 30 minutes, but that's our minimum requirement. And then we also subscribe to something called the HEPA standards, which is health education or healthy eating and physical activity standards that are national standards set forth. Michelle Obama launched the program to help improve the nutrition and activity in our kids a couple of years ago, and the Y was one of the first organizations to sign on. And it basically says that our beverage of choice will be water, that water will be available for kids all the time. We'll serve fresh fruits and vegetables. We'll serve low-fat snacks, whole grains, and things like that. So throughout all of our children's programs, when the kids are in our care, we're helping teach them what a healthy lifestyle looks like. So, you know, the Y really is, it's come full circle, and we're still offering some of those very traditional programs, but we're emphasizing, or I guess we're being more intentional about what we teach our kids and our families and our adults about those programs. We're teaching them still about teamwork, but sometimes teamwork is being taught in our Parkinson's classes. And we're teaching them about health education and good nutrition, and that's being taught in our kindergarten classes. You know, so it's like I said before, it's an exciting time to be part of the Y because we have the opportunity to impact so many. And I think the biggest thing is the opportunity to get outside of our 4 walls. So I would encourage people to come by the Midtown Center. We're going to have an open house there at the end of the month. And then look for other opportunities for us to partner in the community. We would love to spread the message of a healthy lifestyle far and wide within our counties. So.
Now, we mentioned the Midtown Educational Development Center, but I hope I said that right. But what are your other locations? Because we do have people who are listening in Flagler, and you know, some people every so often, if the weather's good, in the west side of the county as well. But what are some of your other locations for Volusia-Flagler?
Okay, we've got a YMCA full facilities in DeLand.
Yes.
We have
Now
a-
that facility has grown
It
over the
has.
years. I take anybody who drives down, now it's ISB, but anyone who's driven on what used to be US 92 and has gone by that, they have watched it over the years just expand to a phenomenal size, and a number of people, I would suppose, that actually go there.
We have quite a few people that attend that Y. Yes, it's a booming YMCA.
Yeah.
It's great. It's a great community Y. Then we also have a Y in Deltona, the Four Towns Family YMCA,
Oh, okay.
which is right behind the high school. We've got a Y in Edgewater, the Southeast Volusia Y. We've got programs at the Midtown Center, as we said. We have a Holly Hill YMCA right on Ridgewood.
Right, the City Commission for Holly Hill agreed that they would actually bring you guys into their center.
Exactly,
That they have.
exactly.
Now, how often are you there?
We're there every day.
Every day?
We're there every day.
Okay.
We have programs in the summer. The pool is open, and we teach water aerobics, and we teach swim lessons. We've got spinning, and there's a weight room. The gym is open. We've got dance classes and exercise classes. So it's a full service facility.
Oh, wonderful.
The tennis courts are over there. We teach tennis lessons there. So it's a great site. It's a great site.
Fantastic. So people do not have an excuse, and I guess
No.
the one you haven't mentioned yet is.
We've got Port Orange. Port Orange is one of our largest Ys. That's one of our flagship Ys. That's a great partnership with the city. We have the Ormond Beach YMCA, Family YMCA. And what we're missing right now, kind of from our portfolio or repertoire, if you will, is a physical presence in Flagler County. We are able to do some programming up in Flagler County. We are able to take the diabetes prevention program up there. We've been partnering with the new PAL program up there this summer for summer camp for teens in the evenings on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday nights, which has been great. But we no longer have a physical facility there. We're working hard to see if we can't once again have a physical presence in Flagler County. It's a great area. There's a lot of families and seniors that could benefit from a Y. And we still have a very strong desire to be up there. So we're staying as connected as we can through programs, but we would like to have a physical presence up there again as well.
I know I had the Sheriff Manfred, on my show, and he was talking about the possibility of them getting a new facility and the possibility of actually utilizing their old facility, and maybe where they were going, having room to actually do more in terms of their police athletic league and other programs that he felt were important for the community. So hopefully your program then is one of the ones he was talking about. I can't remember right now.
It might have been,
but
yeah.
I know that he was very, very much interested in trying to provide more for young people.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that was very key.
He's been a big supporter and a great help to us to try to help keep our presence up there. And he was very kind to ask us to get involved with the summer camps, and it's been a great experience so far.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
That is fantastic. Now, you mentioned earlier your website, and can you share that again? And are there, besides your open house that's coming up for Midtown later this month, are there other key timings and activities that are planned?
Yes, we've got activities and events that go on year-round at all of our family centers. In summer, we really focus on the families and communities. So community swims are happening at all of our YMCAs. And those times and days vary by center. Generally, we don't open the pool to a community swim if it's the busiest time of day with all of summer camp and swim team and everything else, because we want the community to be able to enjoy the pools.
Right.
So it's different for every family center, but those are listed on our website, which again is V as in Victor, F as in Frank, so Volusia-Flagler, YMCA.org.
Oh, okay.
You can look up each family center and find out when community swim is. As we head into the fall, we'll certainly have some open houses and things like that. But the great thing about the Y is that you can stop by any time and take a tour and see what the Ys are about, and come in for a workout and just join us for a day and see what's going on. We've got some special events that occur in the fall. We have a kids triathlon series that will occur in the fall. We've been doing them for a couple of years now. And each of our family centers does them, and it's just a great Saturday or Sunday morning with families and little tiny kids and older kids, and everybody wins, and it's just great stuff. And we have a huge annual event in the spring called Healthy Kids Day, which is always something to look for. The Port Orange Y has a father-daughter or a parent-child dance in the fall usually, and just some really fun things at the Ys. The Four Towns Family YMCA had a senior prom last year, or in February I think it was. So it was actually prom for our older adults, and it was phenomenal. So there's all sorts of stuff going on at the Y. I would highly encourage anybody to check out the website to stay up to date with what's going on.
Oh, it all sounds just fabulous, and again, it brings back memories too of when my sons used to go. Are you finding in the last couple of minutes that we have, what age group are you finding that is more involved with the Y, and of the ones that aren't, and who would that be, and how are you encouraging them to get more involved?
That's a great question. And that's one we ask ourselves a lot, to be honest with you. I think we have two primary target markets, if you will, in kind of business terms, but two primary populations that we really serve really, really well, and that's young families, and then our older adults, our retirees. You walk in any Y on any given day, between 10 and noon, and there's people having coffee and sharing their lives with each other. And most of them are retired, and it's a family, it's a network. And years ago, we went from calling our YMCA's branches to family centers, because even if you don't have family here, the Y is your family. So we've kind of focused for probably close to 160 years on young families and older adults. The challenging group for us, the group that I think we tend to miss a little bit, is the same group that we as a county or as a community have challenges with, and that's that young adult kind of right after college, before starting a family age. We see in this community, like we do in many other smaller towns, once people graduate from high school and go off to college, they don't come back for a little while. I'm one of those. I left and went to college and moved far away, and found my life and myself, and then decided that it was really home where I wanted to be, and came back. But that mid group, I think that's our biggest challenge, because one, I think it's the smallest portion of our population, or proportion of our population, and two, I think that oftentimes they have childhood memories of the Y, and they see our older adults at the Y, and they wonder how they fit in. But if you go to the Y during those kind of 4 to 6 p.m. hours, or those 6 to 7:30 a.m. hours, you see we actually serve quite a few people in that age range. Many of them are what we call non-health seekers, so they're already active, they're doing their thing, and we are still a great place. We've got the highly competitive training programs, we've got triathlon series for adults, we do personal training and things like that. It's just a matter of helping bridge that gap between young family and older adult, and I think that's where our challenge is. How do we best serve that group and still stay true to those other families too? So it's the Y's a 365-day-a-year, 18-hour-a-day business, and there's a time for everybody there. So we try to have enough for everybody to feel comfortable.
And is there a final comment you'd like to make as we prepare to go off the air? Just to encourage everybody to come out.
Absolutely, absolutely.
YMCA.
I think my final comment is thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to be here and to not just talk about the Y, but to talk about a healthy lifestyle. We would love for everybody in the county to come to our Ys and be involved with us, but the reality is you can do things anywhere to be healthy and be active, and you have to do what's going to be convenient for you and what you're going to actually connect with. And whether that means calling the Y and asking us to come into your church and lead an exercise program, or walking with a group of friends on the intercoastal, or coming to a YMCA, or going to another facility, just be active for your own quality of life. That's what we really want.
And to that we would say amen. And Change Today for a Healthier Future. This is your pamphlet on your diabetes prevention program, Volusia-Flagler YMCA. Great information in that. And for all of you guys, I tell you, the why of yesterday, as has been stated, a lot of the same values and virtues that you got from it for your children, your grandchildren and the like, they still have the same values and they still have the same mission. And as far as meeting today's needs, they do that too. And I think that's just so fantastic, not only in terms of the individual, but in terms of their family, in terms of our overall community. We need community partners, great community partners like the YMCA. So thank you so much for coming on and sharing with us about today's why, connected to yesterday's why, and also the future why. And both of my sons, who again learned to swim and they did everything, all the gym things and stuff at the Y when they were younger, have during their adult lifetime actually volunteered to be a coach at the basketball or whatever else for the young people. And they found that to be very rewarding as well. Teaching some of the same principles that they learn about teamwork.
Absolutely.
You know, and my youngest son, who was teaching this group of young people, really young people, they were I guess around 5 or 6, and they had a basketball team, and they rarely won a game. And they had some players who were really good, and they could have won if they had played them. But you know what my son said, and he said to the parents, what's important is that everybody has an equal chance to play.
Absolutely.
Whether they're great or they're not so great, they all are deserving of an opportunity to play. And he instilled that in them. That's what the team is about. We support one another. We stand together. We fall together. But I just thought that was so phenomenal, because there were times I went to one of the games and there was this one kid who was making all the baskets, and I kept saying, you need to keep him in the game, keep him in the game, you know. And my son said to me, as I started to say, I said, you know, you would have won if. He said,
don't tell.
That's right, don't say that. He said, because we're about the team and we're about everybody. Everybody's important. And I think that's just so key in terms of what he learned when he was a part of the Y, and what they continue to carry on as well. Thank you to Bev and the YMCA for Volusia-Flagler County for the great job they do for the community. Okay, guys, please be sure to go to the website again, www.gwen-truth.com, and we will have this YouTube up, so that you guys can watch it. It's in your link, so you can learn about today's why. And that's at the website, www.gwen-truth.com, where you can go and link on to YouTube, and then when you go into whatever the one is that you select, it will take you to the site where all of them will be there as well. So you can watch any of the programs that we've had, the Truth Radio Show. And so until next time, please, please, please stay informed, be empowered, and stand tall for that which is right and truthful. That's what it's about. That's why we're here, to really help one another, to be there for one another. But you know, you can't do what you need to do if you don't have the truth as a foundation to stand on. So again, this is Truth with Gwen Azama-Edwards. My guest again, Bev Johnson, YMCA. And until next time, you guys just keep standing. Bev's standing, I'm standing, I'm sure you're standing. You be blessed and have a great week.
With your host, Gwen Azama-Edwards, exclusively every Thursday night on
Thank you again.
WYLE 1380 Radio.